back to the beginning, we have Joyce Hodde here, Hodde. She's from Tell City area, and her brother's here with her named David Hodde. And Tell City is on the river, Ohio River, near Troy and near Cannleton, but it's in Lincoln country. Gentryville's only about 20 miles from there, and Lincoln would come down. He took one of those craft from that area all the way down to New Orleans and got educated on slaves at that time in the early 1800s. So Tell City is pretty important. They got a lot of chair industry there and river traffic. It's a pretty little city. They call it Tell City Marksman. So Joyce, tell us where you went to where you were born, what year, and where you went to grade school and high school.
Well, I was born in New Albany. I was born in February of 1942, and then Mom and Dad moved here.
You move over there, sit down.
Moved to Tell City.
They moved to Tell City, I guess.
In what year?
They lived in New Albany just a little while. He worked at a what? When he couldn't
worked
go.
in boatyards.
Yeah, he couldn't go to the
Jeffersonville
war.
Boatyards.
So
Jeffersonville.
Okay, so Jefferson Boatyards are very important to Evansville because we had LST Boatyards. They also made LSTs at Jefferson, and they had a lot of things. They made a lot of ammunition there as well.
Mm-hmm.
Jefferson was pretty important in World War II. Your dad couldn't go to the war because of a disability or
Health.
health. So health, that happened to a lot of men.
Mm-hmm.
And so he worked at the shipyard there and probably, we made 167 LSTs in Evansville. We have the only one left from World War II. Ours is made up, I think, in Pennsylvania, but Evansville made 167. I don't know how many they made in Jefferson, but your dad probably helped make some of those.
probably.
If he worked at the shipyard. And then, so you're a wartime baby. Are you younger or older than Joy? Huh?
I'm younger.
Younger, so you're later in the wartime baby.
49.
49. So you're a wartime baby, but you don't remember anything in World War II because you're too young. You're only 2 years old when it was over. But that's it.
I just remember people coming home from it.
You can still remember that. Because 45, 46, that's when we had all the babies in the world, or in the United States. But you can remember that age 3, that's about when my memory starts, 2 to 3. But you can remember them come back. They came back 45 or 46, 47. So you're 3 or 4 years old. Come in uniform and hugging the wife and everything else.
Yes.
Yeah. So keep going. You're Jeffersonville or New Albany, Jeffersonville, and then why did your dad and mom move to Tell City, and when did they move to Tell City?
Well, Dad was originally from Cannleton, and Mom grew up in Spencer County, so they wanted to live back here. And then he was a tool and die maker, and he went to work for GE, so they moved back.
GE had a big plant over in Owensboro.
And they had a big plant in Tell City, too.
Did they? And the Salmons from Tell City, one of them worked there and had some patents. What city was your mom from in Spencer County?
Grandview. She
Grandview,
was
okay.
born in Grandview.
Yeah, Grandview's a big town. It's over the river. It's right near Rockport, but it's called a Grandview of the river. So a lot of people from this area from there, and Hatfield's near there. So they got back to their roots. So probably a lot of your relatives on your mom's side from their Grandview, and then dad's side more Cannleton
They
area.
were all Cannleton.
So he came back probably in the late 40s. You're David, you born in Tell City?
Yes.
So you're born in 49, so they were back to Tell City by then.
Before that.
Yeah,
Because
before.
Art was born in Tell City.
Yes, he was,
You came back in 45 probably?
probably.
Yeah. Okay, so then you went to Tell City High School?
Tell City High School, St. Paul Grade School, and then high school.
And then tell us, after high school, you got in the Navy or what'd you do?
I went into the Air Force. Well, I went to nursing school and graduated from St. Anthony's in Terre Haute, and then I went into the Air Force Nurse Corps.
So
And
you applied from, after you got out of a marksman or out of Tell City High, you went to Terre Haute, Indiana, and the name of the school was?
Indiana State.
Indiana State. My wife went there. It's famous for teachers' college, but they got a good nursing school as well.
Yeah.
So you graduated from their nursing school, and you went to 4 years there or 2?
I went 2 years, well, I went to a 3-year school. It was
Uh-huh.
a 3-year school then. And then I went into the Air Force, and when I got out of the Air Force, I went back and finished my degree in nursing, so, at Indiana State.
And
That
how
was
many?
2 more years.
2 more years, yeah. And you went to the United States to get it. How many years were you in the Air Force?
I was in 2 years active duty, and then I stayed 4 years in the reserves.
And where did you serve? And where did you go to boot camp, or if they had boot camp for your officers and doctoration? Were you
I went to Wichita Falls for my basic.
Kansas?
Wichita Falls, Texas.
Texas, okay, Wichita Falls, Texas.
For my basic.
Basic, and were you an officer?
Yes.
Because you're a nurse with a college degree, and they put you as an officer, so you were a first lieutenant or second lieutenant?
I started out as a second lieutenant, and then I was a first lieutenant when I got out.
And when you went to that in Wichita, were they all women or not?
No,
Half men?
there was a lot of men
And all nurses, though? They're all nurses, or no?
No, they weren't all nurses. No, they were various different things.
And how big was that base? Pretty big?
Gosh, yes, that's a big base.
How'd you get there, by train or bus?
No, a friend of mine in Evansville went in at the same time, and we drove out there.
Yeah. So you were a little older, 22, 23, because you're out of nursing school, so you had some means to do that. Drove there a couple days, at least then, took a long time. And then after Wichita Falls, was it called Wichita Falls? Wichita.
Wichita Falls.
Wichita, and where did you get stationed after that, Joyce?
I went to Forbes Air Force Base in Topeka, Kansas.
And is there a hospital there?
We had a nice hospital. Yes, it was a big brick place, and it was a nice base. But it's closed now.
In Topeka, Kansas. Did you work there as a nurse in the hospital? What'd you do there?
I just, we did everything, general duty nursing, took care of, babies, and worked in the surgery.
So what type, you were a surgery nurse, or just a little everything?
I was out on the floors.
Floors, yeah.
And I liked that better.
Did you get some good experience there in the
yes, a lot of experience.
Because they let you do a lot.
They did.
More than Terre Haute.
Yes, absolutely. The doctor said, "Would you go do this?" And yes, sir.
I mean, I was in the service. I was a doctor in the Navy, and a lot of nurses there. But just like in anything, on-job training, and you learn more in your first year of work than you learned in all 3 years of nursing. You learned the first 3 months at Topeka, then you learned all 3 years, because it's where rubber meets the road. And a lot of them don't survive because they can't take it.
That's right.
But coming from a small town, what your mom and dad probably taught you pretty well, so you're more and that's pretty rare for a young woman at that age to do Air Force too. Probably 1% in the Air Force is women at that time. Now it's probably 20, 30%, 20% are military or women, maybe 15, but at that time you're less than 1%. So that's rare. You're a rare breed to do that. Did you learn anything? Did you ever have to go anywhere else besides Topeka?
No, I never did. I was assigned to a TAC unit, Tactical Air Command, and we were mobile. And only one time did we ran into a problem, and we were all, on the airplane in our fatigues ready to go, and then they called it off, and we didn't have to go. Everybody was chewing their fingernails.
Scared to death you were going to go somewhere again.
Yeah, we thought we were.
Yeah, hurry up and wait. And then the military's now being much more mobile, but the Air Force taught us that you can't just put a big hospital because they're going to shoot us. But you'd like to be mobile. So even now they make these temporary hospitals and put them up in a day or two, and then they're all functional. Were you worried about your sister going off to the military at all, David, or you weren't too worried?
I knew she could handle herself.
She wasn't a little baby.
I grew up with 4 brothers, so you had to hold your own.
No sisters?
One sister.
Yeah. But mom and dad taught you a lot how to be autonomous, so you wouldn't have done that. Most, I don't know, my wife wouldn't have done that. She went to ISU. She's a decade behind you too, but she went to ISU at Terre Haute. It's a nice school. I think Linda White went there. She's the head of Deaconess Hospital here in Evansville, or was.
Our sister went there, but she's a teacher.
Yeah, my wife got a teaching degree there. It's an Indiana State Teaching College, what they call it. More teachers than nurses by far. Then, did you practice nursing after that? And where did you practice it? At Tell City?
I worked in Tell City a little while, and I worked in Owensboro most of the time, I think. pretty much.
Well, you had to drive across the river to get there, and then they had their hospital downtown. They moved it out in the boonies now, but it was a big hospital, and it serves a lot of people in Kentucky and from Tell City. Most people in Tell City go there and get their health care. So,
Most people do.
and so you're a nurse, and then you retired from nursing, or, yeah.
I've been retired from nursing about 10 years. I think.
Yeah, well, it's a big part of our community, the nursing. So, what do you say for the next generation of women in the military and women nurses and women in the military of how important it is for our freedom and how important it is for some women to support us in the military? I mean, you're rare, but become more common. Women are very different than they used to be. They're getting more not as scared of doing things. You weren't scared.
No, I really wasn't. You know, I don't really know why I went in. I always did want to do that, and so I just went. But I think I learned a lot. You know, you grow up a lot when you're away from home, and that certainly was a growing up area. And you know, I did a little traveling, got to see some things. But I think that all kids, young people that get out of high school, need to have a military experience. And I think women, most of all, teaches us independence and, you know, take care of yourself and get out there and do it.
Yeah. We've interviewed about 15 people today, and every one of them said the kids need to be in the military for a little while. Every one of them. And so, you're going to see President Biden, so you tell President Biden that when you get there in D.C.
I have probably a few things to tell him
Oh,
about
you got
the
a
chance.
few other things. But you know, it teaches kids to say yes. We're such a free society. We all backtalk and give our independence. But I think what you're saying teaches some self-discipline. Israel has the girls and the men 18 months. Everyone goes to the military. And somehow, rich and poor, all of us should go. It taught me so many things. I was in 24 years. You know, I argued for things all the time. Didn't win hardly any argument, but I learned how to argue. Try to win my point. But you know, in nursing, you had to have supplies you didn't have. And you argued about them, didn't win sometimes, but you tried. And it taught you a lot of things you probably used in Owensboro a lot or when you were a nurse. So, and then what do you think about our freedom? I mean, you know, everything we have our health, we take it for granted. We have our freedom, we take it for granted. And I don't know how to teach the younger generation about freedom. How do you think we should teach them how to cherish our freedom, how to cherish our country? That's a real easy question.
That is a loaded question. Well, how to teach kids? I think by example in the first place. Things like this help kids to realize that it is important. I think more respect needs to be paid to vets. That they don't get that, and it needs to be talked about. You know, in schools they need to discuss it and say, you know, we are a free country. We're one of the few, and these are the benefits we get, and we're losing them. We're going to lose more if we don't get busy. So.
Yeah, more and more. We're just. How about David? Do you have any thoughts on this topic at all? About freedom, about work ethic, about children learning more about our freedom? Do you have anything to say about that? And what Joyce said about the issue of learning something from going in the military and learning how to say yes sir, no sir for certain things. We can't just question every single thing.
I think everybody takes freedom for granted, and they don't realize how nice we have it in this country. Don't realize the sacrifices that a lot of people made, such as Joyce and all the others that were in the military.
Yeah.
We had two brothers that were in the Army at the same time. She was in the Air Force. And, you know, that meant a lot to the family. And I think there needs to be more of that. There needs to be more accountability for what you're doing.
Yeah, well, you're coming from a military family, so you're more appreciative with 3 military and dad working for the military really in 1940, in the 40s. So, but a lot of people aren't in the military and never been in the military and don't have much family members in the military, and I don't know if they understand that freedom isn't free, no matter what it is. Some people give the ultimate sacrifice, some give sacrifice like Joyce, like your 2 brothers, you know, but I just think it's what you said, Dave, it's the best country in the world. I've been a lot of places in the military, and I'm telling you, we got so many freedoms, we got so many privileges, we got so much nice infrastructure. Why do people from other countries come to our places? Because of beautiful infrastructure. You got good plumbing, you got good electricity, you got actually good government, even though we complain about it. But until somebody experiences how bad it can be, they don't understand. Like when you lose a leg or lose an arm, you wish you always had that. But if you have one, you don't appreciate it. You know. But you know, I think you'll go to D.C. and we just see part of our fabulous country. And thank you for your service, Joyce. I think thank you for your service, Joyce. Thank David for taking her. Appreciate it. Okay, you have a good.